We'll explain to you about the difference South Korean culture and Indonesian culture. So let's see the videos.
Hello everyone, I'm Salwa Azara. Here I will explain about the differences in conversation between Indonesian and South Korean culture. First, I will explain the comparison between Indonesian and South Korean when in a meeting. In Indonesian, meetings often start with informal small talk to build rapport. Meetings are conducted in the office conference room. Meetings are usually scheduled during working hours with flexibility around prayer time for Muslims. Usually attended by relevant stakeholders with respect shown to senior members. Formality in addressing superiors by title, promoting consensus, and avoiding direct confrontation to maintain harmony. Meanwhile, in South Korean, meetings start immediately and focus on timeless and efficiency. Usually held in an office conference room, scheduled strictly within working hours, often with strong adherence to schedules. All relevant team members, senior member led discussions. Formality is essential, with deep bowing when greeting and communication is direct and clear. This is an example of a conversation between Indonesian and South Korean. We can see the comparison, as I explained earlier, that when Indonesian are having a meeting, it usually starts with informal small talk, while in the South Korean, start the meeting immediately and focus on timelines. The second, I will explain the comparison between Indonesian and South Korean during lunchtime. In Indonesian, lunch is a short break from work. Food can be bought or shared at office canteen, restaurants, or informal street food stalls. It is usually between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. Coworkers often eat together, sometimes with their seniors. The food is varied, with rice as the staples. Sharing food is a common practice. Meanwhile, in South Korean, lunchtime is a short break from work, often involving eating quickly and efficiently. Food can be bought or shared at the office canteen, a nearby restaurant, or a fast food restaurant. It is usually from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. during just a short break. Sometimes, seniors may invite juniors to eat together. Meals such as rice, soup, and side dishes, or in South Korean culture, they call it baekchan, are common. In South Korea, everyone has their own main dish. Okay, next. This is a comparison of conversation that Indonesian and South Korean during lunchtime. As we can see that Indonesian eat rice as their staple food, and sharing food is a common thing to do. Meanwhile, in South Korean, everyone has their own main dish. In this conversation, the main dish is bibimbap. The third, I will explain the comparison between Indonesian and South Korean during visiting someone sick. In Indonesian, visiting the sick is a form of compassion. Visits can be made at the person's home or at the hospital. Visits can be made at any time. Usually, the visitors are family, friends, and coworkers. Visitors bring food, fruit, or gift. Conversations are gentle and supportive, avoiding topics that might stress the patient. Meanwhile, in South Korean, visiting the sick is considered an obligation and a sign of respect. It is usually at the hospital or the person's home. Visits are usually planned often in the afternoon or evening. Visitors are usually family, close friends, and coworkers. Visitors often bring gifts such as fruit, health meditation, or envelope of money. Bowing and expressing concern formality is common. Next, this is a comparison of conversations that Indonesian and South Korean have while visiting someone sick. In this conversation, we can see the differences. Indonesians give food or fruits as a form of compassion. Although there are people who give money, but the majority of Indonesians give food or fruit when visiting someone sick. Meanwhile, in South Korean, give money as a form of concern for the people they visit. The fourth, I will explain the comparison between Indonesian and South Korean during celebrating Religions Day. In Indonesian, Religions Day are marked with prayers, feasts, and religious activities. Celebrations take place in homes, mosques, churches, and other places of worship. The dates vary according to the region's calendars, e.g., Idul Fitri and Christmas. All people of the same faith can participate in Religions Day celebrations. Activities include special prayers, almsgiving, visiting relatives, and eating together. Wearing traditional clothes is common. Meanwhile, in South Korean, Religions Day are only observed by people who have a religion, as there are many atheists in South Korea. Celebration can take place in homes, temples, and churches. The dates follow the respective religion's calendar, e.g., Joseon and Buddha's birthday. People who participate are usually family members, people in the religion community, and friends. Activities include ritual and ancestor memorial ceremonies, or Joseon only, and families gatherings. Wearing traditional clothing is important. This is an example of a conversation between Indonesian and South Korean during celebration Religion Day. In Indonesian and South Korean, both people bring food for their respective religion celebrations. But Indonesian bring food to enjoy together after praying, while South Korean bring food for ceremonial offerings. The purpose is totally different. That's all from me. The next material will be presented by my friend.
Hello everyone, my name is Sabrina Shukanabila and I will explain to you guys the social events between Indonesia and South Korea. Okay, the first social event is eating out. In Indonesia, Indonesians often eating out when lazy or on special occasions. People who own a vehicle pick up others most prefer to go together. They often ordering fried rice whenever they are eating out. Indonesians are consumptive and enjoy eating out. Meanwhile, in South Korea, South Koreans have a healthy eating habits. They preferring home-cooked meals over eating out. They often eating out for events or parties, but also for socializing. They meet at a restaurant, then they order alcohol, samgyeopsal, and tteokbokki. The next event is wedding. Indonesian marriage process is influenced by beliefs and culture, with a long and complex process. The day begins with the akad nikah and ends with a reception party. Post-wedding parties are held in the evening, with local singing and dancing. The ceremony typically takes place at home, decorated with wedding ornaments. Let's see in Korea's wedding. In South Korea, the marriage process is simple and typically lasts 2 or 3 hours in a hotel setting. Multiple weddings can be held in a day, with the bride waiting in a separate room for photos before the vows are said. The groom waits at the altar and the bride walks down the aisle. After the ceremony, a flower bucket toast and a special performance by the bride and groom's friends are performed. Next, there is a funeral event. Indonesian funeral traditions vary across different religions. In Islam, the process includes bathing the body, burial, reading Yasin, praying, and being escorted to the final resting place. In Christianity, the body is dressed and priests lead final prayers and songs. Indonesians mourn for 7 days or more, while in Islam, up to 40 days the immediate family attends and read Yasin. In South Korea, funeral ceremonies typically take place at a funeral home, usually in a hospital area. Preparations can begin immediately or on the same day as the death. Large funerals can last 3 to 7 days, with hundreds attending. The next of kin usually stays for 3 days and even sleeps in the funeral home. Visitors greet the deceased by bowing and reciprocating, and pay respects by praying in front of the coffin with the deceased photo. The last event is school reunited. School reunions in Indonesia are often avoided due to their prestige and competition for achievements, which can make those without achievements feel inferior. These events are typically held in hotels and are often planned in influential groups. Meanwhile, in South Korea, school reunions are a popular event for friends to meet, but they can be avoided for victims bullying. Reunions are held at barbecue restaurants where they discuss achievements, drink soju, and party until everyone is drunk.
Hello everyone, my name is Rasi Pasika. Here I will explain about gesture between Indonesian and Korean. Okay, I will explain about Indonesian and Korean gestures. The first one is handshake. Shaking hands in Indonesian tradition of a brief greetings of holding each other hands. In most cases, accompanied by a brief up and down gesture of held hands, direct hands is used as it will be considered polite. Customs related to the handshake are culture specific. However, because Indonesian society predominantly Islamic, and men and women who are not muhrim are not allowed to touch, the handshake is usually replied by keeping hands in front of the chest as a sign of greetings. Meanwhile, in Korean, handshakes are often performed by men. Your left hand should support your right arm when shaking hands. Meanwhile, Korean women do not always shaking hands but often bow. In addition, there is no significant difference between Korean and Indonesian greetings in shaking hands. And the second one is Hanar. In Indonesian, there are several gestures in respecting elders. The first is when passing people who are sitting. Indonesians usually do it when their hands strike down and walk both. The second is when shaking hands with their elders. Indonesian will usually kiss hands or shake hands with a bent body position or shake hands with the right hand shaking hands and the left hand placed holding the right arm. Meanwhile, in South Korean, people are usually paid their respect by bowing to each other or each elders. This tradition is very common things to do. Bowing is also divided into several types, namely the small bow are just bowing the head, the half-body bow which is usually used to honor elders, and the bowing bow which is usually done in certain traditions such as post-wedding ceremony and honoring the dead. The third one is eye contact. In Indonesian culture, staring to other objects around you such as your phone or other object can be considered rude as it shows you that you are not paying attention to the person you are talking to. Besides that, it is polite to stare to the person you talking to. Besides that, it is polite to stare at the person you're talking to. It shows that you appreciate and pay attention to what they are saying. Meanwhile, in South Korean culture, staring at others is considered an act of courtesy and respect. However, in some situations, such as when you are listening, you may find it easier to stare at others without being considered rude. Indirect staring, such as looking to the side or down, is considered a polite act in Korean culture. It shows that you are not paying attention to the other person directly, which is considered rude. And the last one is waving hand. In Indonesia, waving is often done in a relaxed and open gesture. Hands are raised to shoulder height or higher, with palms facing forward and fingers extended. This gesture is usually accompanied by a warm smile. In some informal situations or when greeting someone who is respected or cherished, it is acceptable to use both hands to wave. Waving is often accompanied by a smile and sometimes a slight bow of head, especially when interacting with elder or respected people. Meanwhile, in Korean, hand waving is usually more restrained and often done with smaller movements. Hands are usually raised at shoulder height or slightly lower. With a less extensive waving motion, Koreans often wave by moving their palms up and down rather than side to side. This gesture tends to be more formal and polite. One-handed waving is more common in Korea and is usually done with the palm facing downwards. In more formal situations, waving in Korea is often accompanied by a slight bow of the head as a sign of respect, especially when addressing elders or in professional contexts. In Korea, waving is generally less expressive than in Indonesia, reflecting cultural norms that place more emphasis on politeness and respect.
Hello everyone, I'm Ramaranti Pertiwi. You can call me Ranti. I will explain to you about interesting aspect between South Korean and Indonesia. Check it out. The first one about Indonesia standard beauty. Most of Indonesia female doesn't use makeup for their appearance. In their opinion, makeup just for girl. It's a weird thing for them to using makeup on their face. Some of them will think if the man use makeup, then he isn't gentle. Female makeup in Indonesia is really different from South Korean because they will use bold makeup for every occasion. South Korea standard beauty. This is really different from Indonesian standard beauty because makeup in Korea doesn't tend to be gender. Many more younger men are choosing to use like makeup every day and or for special occasion to cover up blemishes, redness, and irritation. Instead of male beauty standard around makeup prefer a matte look to convey a natural, a desirable image rather than bold, bright color and styles they increase in utilization by male K-pop idols. An advertisement directed to a male audience has led more Korean men to apply like makeup as compared to men in the West. That's really different from Indonesian because in Indonesian makeup has to be gender. Next is about South Korea habits. It's actually talk about general habits in Korean between Indonesia. In South Korea, it's perfectly okay to enjoy alcoholic drinks in public. You can carry your open bottle or can alcohol and even have a sip or two while you're out and about. In South Korea, it's a cultural belief to never write a Korean's name in red ink. This practice involved in superstition, as doing so is thought to signify that the person is either on the verge of death or has already passed away. While it might seem superstitious, this tradition holds a well-established place in South Korean culture and is deemed as inappropriate. Different from South Korean habits, Indonesians have special habits. In Indonesia, it isn't okay to enjoy alcoholic drinks in public. Most of Indonesian people are Muslim and it's not allowed. That's why alcohol is just available on some places like club or other night place. In Indonesia, there is no prohibition about write Indonesia's name in every color of ink. Indonesian people don't have a suggest like Korean people have. It's okay to write Indonesia's name in every color. Next topic about entertainment between Indonesian and Korean. The first one, South Korean entertainment. South Korean entertainment variety show is most great to entertain the watcher and interaction of social life and give some information. Some people entertainment Korean variety shows can help them to interact with news person and help them making new relationship and give some confidence to tell the same variety show as their topic. We can see most of South Korean entertainment really cute and really romance that's different from Indonesia. Different from South Korean entertainment, Indonesian entertainment is have variety shows less in protection public and doesn't give good quality of humor. They are different from Korean variety shows, as Gallup Korea released survey that show favorite TV program in Korea. 45% of the top 20 highest TV in program in South Korea is variety shows program. So Indonesian not really good at entertainment. And if you wanna see South Korean entertainment, you better to choose them. The last topic is about street food. The first, Korean street food is really different from Indonesian. In Korean, mostly the food is just like not spicy, and Indonesian is spicy. This is the example of Korean street food. The first one, tteokbokki, kebab, and dakjang. Different from Korean street food, Indonesian street food really most of spicy and they are really oily for Korean people, I think. They are really different in street food. So example of street food of Indonesian is gorengan, martabak mesir, and siomay.